Hey everybody, it's Keith. I just wanted to come back with you with another um, part of the testimony I was given about some of the challenges that I had at the church that I was associated with from 2003 to about 2011, 12. Uh, the thing is, I was tasked and had the privilege of being a part of most of the ministries at the church, and I was very thankful for the job. I did my best, tried my hardest, um, and by no means am I minimizing the responsibility that I had to my uh, to the owners of the church and as well as the parishioners. I just wanted to share some of the things that happened that kind of turned me off and started pushing me away from that particular church. I think the main thing was that the son was running around having sex with different people in the church and still preaching, and the people that knew about it were shamed and intimidated and threatened not to say anything. And if you dared say something, the family that owned the church would make messages and preach messages about self, uh, your, how do you say, self righteousness, unforgiving, and then would bring up grace and all these other things, yet the behavior didn't stop. And the thing that about that is when you have a leader that is having sex with the members of the church, and although there's singles in there, and things happen, it comes to a point where if it's not stopped, it just starts dominating the church. There's so many people that were having babies outside of wedlock, and like I say, I get it. Sin is sin. It's just the positions were not stable in that it was like an epidemic. And then to top it off, when I was leading the kids ministry, I went outside one day and was out there talking to the mother, the wife of the mother of the son of the wife of the pastor. She was the first lady, is what they call her in Pentecostal churches. So she was a first lady, and I'd always give a summary of what God was doing, how the service was for the kids, and I stepped out always to the parking lot, and it's front of the gym, and in the gym we would have the kids and we have the teenage ministry. Well, one particular day I was out there, and as I was excitedly explaining what happened, I saw the son just, I mean, just he was dating this girl, and he had his back against the wall, and she was all pressed up against her, and they were kissing, and then he started getting real handsy and filling her up, and it just was so shocking that he would do that so blatantly outside of the kids ministry where the kids can come out. And I just was flabbergasted. I just said, what are you doing? And the mother heard me. She said, "What's going on, Keith? What's going on?" I started to tell her. I couldn't even explain it all. So the next day we always had a meeting after Sunday night service on Monday, leadership meeting. And I don't know how he lied about what I saw, but when he came in the meeting, he was all kissing his girlfriend because she was part of the team, and looking at me like I had did something wrong, scowling at me and trying to act all haughty. And that's what he, there was a lot of those type of behaviors that just turned me off. And he would never do that out off the property. It was always on the property. So he's just had the church muscles. He's a coward to me, and he's very shameful for the actions that he did, and never, ever, 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 ever tried to reconcile those things. Instead, he started deflecting and started just trying to cover himself up. In addition to that, we would have ministries where we were over, but instead of the money that was collected, that was told to the parishioners that were going to be used for that particular ministry, whether it was the homeless ministry, philanthropy, kids ministry, Sunday school, back on track, or the charter school, they wouldn't give us a dime. And we were paying every second Sunday. We were paying out our pocket. Every Monday, paying out our pocket. Not one time did they give us a dime to offset the losses that we were making financially. And we were faithful tithers. We have all the records from 2003 to 2012 where we gave not only tithes but offerings, special gifts, above and beyond. And there was things that we would buy and give to the church just because we wanted to be loyal and serving. And it just got to the point where some of the other leaders were asking us personally, "Hey, is the pastor really giving you money?" And I didn't say that he wasn't, but I didn't say that he was. I said, "Hey, if you got something to say it to him." I was tired of having to answer all these questions because he wouldn't. The lead pastor and the junior pastor and the first lady wouldn't even answer any of the questions, and they were bouncing checks to some of the members that were on staff. That would be the families would have to go and stay and supposed to get paid, and their money wouldn't come out right, and they'd have to pay late fees and all this other stuff. It just was a mess. It was a total mess, and I just got tired of it over and over and over. I just got tired of just the whole shenanigans that was going on, and there was an opportunity for me to move and help one of the charter owners, and I got permission from the lead pastor. I chased him for about 6 weeks. I had told him months prior that I was asked to help set up a church for her and all this other stuff, and he was like, no problem. But when it came to him blessing me and praying for me, I had to literally run and catch him at the truck with the security guard, the police officer that was his armor bearer. And all these things I'm saying are I have witnesses. And the thing about it is, I got so turned off and burnt because after he so-called blessed me and released me, then come to find out he never told anybody in the church. So all the church thought that I had turned my back. So because of that, because he didn't back me up in front of the church, I got people now that are mad at me because they think I've turned my back on them and all this other stuff, which people gonna talk whatever, but it wasn't done decent like he always would preach, and the whole family would always talk about honor and sons and daughters, and this is the proper way to do these things. I followed all those steps, and he didn't follow up on his part, which let me in a place where the things that I did were discredited for the church, to the point where I was having a guest speaking at TBN, and I had all this data that I was going to use to show all the things that I did prior to me leaving the church for that particular church, and talking about the stuff that we were going to be doing in the future. And one of the younger leaders that were just starting was under the impression that I did not have permission to use those shots, so he took it out of the rotation, and I had to use some secondary photos, which was just another backhanded actions that they are taught over and over and over to do. I've seen people that have been there for years that had been just abused, to the point where they would be unhealthy. There was divorces, never got counseling. They wouldn't offer counseling to these leaders. They would talk about them over the pulpit. This poor lady that was one of the ushers and security for the lady pastor, the wife of the church, she slipped and fell on a crack that I remember the summer before they were talking about fixing. Never fixed. She got hurt, didn't have insurance, so she was asking the pastors to pay for her medical bills. Man, they had a 6-week sermon on how you're not supposed to sue the church or have any actions against the church. It was a mess. It was crazy. And that's just one incident. Had another pastor where he came all the way from Africa and set up all the structure at the church, and then when they got mad at him, they promised him that he was supposed to that they were going to fill out his national papers. When you're from another country, you got to get paperwork filled out so you can have a status of a legitimate immigrant in the States, and they did not do that for them. So they were screwing people left and right that disagreed with them or had a problem with some of the stuff they did. I mean, they rented stuff from places and didn't pay. I mean, I went with one of the leaders to a thing. They said, you from that church? And then they called the lead pastor's name. Said, we don't take anything from, we don't give them our business anymore. They haven't paid, and I was so embarrassed. I had no idea that kind of stuff was happening, because that's not the type of things that they were purporting in front on their property, and when they went out to do all these ministries. Man, it was it was a charade. It was so crazy. We had a guy that came over from a big church in here, from Cornerstone, and they parked his bus in the back of the church, and the kids in the neighborhood broke out all the windows, and they never did anything about that. They took his speakers, hung them up without his permission, and it's just like, it was. I seen worse. I didn't see them kind of actions when I worked for the world. It was just so much turmoil, always trying to one up each other. It was crazy. And it has been a sticking point in my life, that because I was so ashamed and so disappointed and what was going on, that it broke my heart, and I couldn't say anything because I wanted to honor my mother, who has always been a part of that church, and I wanted to honor the good things that they were doing, but the things that it just outweighed the corruption, just outweighed all of it to a point, because when I started really voicing my opinion, that's when I really started getting battered for it, and just turned me all the way off to everything that they're about, everything they were doing. And now I see some of their people that rose up, they're going through the same problems with their wives sleeping around, choir members sleeping around, still having, I know it happens, but just the amount and to the degree at which it's happening, it's troublesome. And so it just feels good to be able to unburden this. For so long I've held it in, and I felt so guilty and so ashamed and just so angry that it was weighing on me, and I didn't really realize it. But when you see people in authority abusing their authority to that degree, I mean, they had so many tactics to try to intimidate you, from coming up with these sermons to specifically point out what they didn't like in people instead of calling them to the side or anything. They would just preach something against a person, individual, call them out over the pulpit, all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, if I would have did that and said, your son is sleeping with the doggone secretary, and this girlfriend over here, this lady over here, this young lady that he was sleeping with, now he's sleeping with her. She's in the church and she knows it, and she's crying. And instead of y'all consoling her and ministering to her on her broken heart, you try to act like it's a move of God and the Holy Spirit is in there, and change it to something that was supernatural, when it was just she was heartbroken because the son had been sleeping around. And it's just like it just turned into um, just a sex fest, and just the debauchery that was going on, the corruption, money grubbing. Just it was just money grubbing, just a lot of money, just trying to grab money. It was all about money. And the thing about it nowadays is we have to be careful, that if we do see something and it's not being addressed, you have a choice. You can either be a part, like I was a part of the problem because I never spoke up, or you can speak up and speak out, and let the chips fall where they may. And you don't have to do it like some of these guys that run into the church and during the middle of the service started, loud speaking, saying, "What are you? I rebuke you," and all this stuff. No, you don't have to do that. And you don't have to bring 10 pastors to bring that one pastor in and start trying to read them the riot act. No, you can write them a letter. You can talk to them. You can tell them what's going on. But you got to speak out. I am ashamed that I didn't, but I'm glad I did. So now I was not kicked out. I did not backstab and do anything at that church. No, 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 no. I left because of what I told you I left about. I did not feel like we could continue over there. The opportunity opened up to do something else. That's what I did. Then we have a young child that we are raising and have been raising since he was 4 weeks old, and that just took us out of our normal traditional pastoring roles, and I'm thankful for it. I would not trade that little girl for anything in the world. She is my heart. She's my love. She's my daughter, and she will always be my daughter, and I love her like I love everybody else. She's no different. And I'm going to raise her to be honest, to be trustworthy, and to speak up and speak out about things that are wrong, even if it's me. Because we have to have some type of internal fortitude to check ourselves. And I need y'all's prayer, and I pray that you pray for me, and I'll pray for you, and we'll believe God for the best. This was the second part of the first part. Had a lot of questions about different things. I hope this has explained a lot of things to you. If not, be sure to inbox me or call me, 210-878-6005. I am Keith Sanford. I love you. I pray everything goes well with you. I believe that God's going to strengthen you, that this is going to be your year to walk into a place where you've never been before and receive those things that you've been praying for. God bless you. Take care.